Hi everybody, hope you're well. So today's video is going to be the installation of the Denali D2 lighting kit, which I recently purchased from a UK online internet company called Rugged Roads. There's a link up here or down below. Very helpful chap there. Jonathan, he seems to be the main man there, so if any queries, just ask to speak to Jonathan or send him an email. The Denali plug and play kit, it was £315 UK. Plus VAT where applicable, and any postage carriage costs also. For that you've got two Denali lights, the Denali data dim controller, so headlight, main beam 100%, and then on low beam it's reduced, I think it's 50% or something like that. You also get the Honda OEM fog light switch, which we obviously have to install, and also a wiring loom, which is one of the main reasons I went for this kit. It's a pre-prepared wiring loom, so hopefully it's just going to be plug and play without any soldering or anything like that. So I'm not an electrician, so always, as I say, go and seek electrical advice if you're not sure as to what you're doing. But hopefully you'll find this video interesting. I won't show you how to take the front fairings off because there's loads of videos on the internet of how to do that, and the only thing is just be very careful you don't snap any of the lugs off, so take your time taking the fairings off. I've already bought some stuff from Rugged Roads, namely the SW Motec crash bars, which I will be fitting the lighting brackets to as well. So I also purchased two types of lighting brackets from SW Motec, one from Rugged Roads, one from Motorcycle Road and Race, but I'll put the links up there. I just wasn't sure whether to go for the mounting them on the crash bar itself or on the crash bar mounts near the radiators at the front, so I just spent a few quid and got option A and option B. But at the moment I'll be looking at using the mounting brackets that go on the front of the machine near the radiators themselves. So enough of all this waffling and talk, let's get on and yeah, let's get to it. So on a previous occasion I installed the Honda OEM power outlet socket, which goes in the front of the dash here. So you'll just see on the front here I've got an extra bit of cabling, but that's purely to do with the fact that I've previously installed the power outlet socket. So on this 2017 model, it's slightly different to some of the other models where the fuse holder is actually within the loom here. So if the fuse pops, you've got to take all of the fairing off, the front fairing off, and then replace the fuse there. On the later models I realised, yeah, that's a stupid idea, so I think they've put the fuse somewhere it's more accessible, so if the fuse pops you can get your fuse very easily. So for this one, so there we go, that's the fuse and everything in there for the power outlet socket. And then what we need to do is just start to remove the front rubber boot section here, which is where all the electrical connections are for the Africa Twin. So there we go, so that's all the bump in there. And then this is the cabling that I've previously installed for the power outlet socket. So we'll just get some clips on there and we'll just cut that off and just make the access slightly easier. So as you can see here, my Denali D2 lights are mounted on a SW Motec bracket, which fits onto the SW Motec crash bars, and then the electrical wire coming out the back is just routed through the there's three big cutouts here in the inner plastic panel of the fairing, and I just put it through the lower of the larger three squares. And although it's running close to the radiator, it's not going to melt. I don't think it's going to melt. And then basically it comes out the lower part here, as you can see, and then I've just run obviously the left-hand cable going up. It's run just behind the air scoop and the bung that you can see in the there, and then running it back up, and then I've zip tied it. So again, looking at the right hand side, again the cable goes through the lower of the 3 squares and then comes out near the radiator, but sufficiently far away that it ain't going to melt, and then just routed it up again behind the air scoop. And then you can see on this side that what I've done, let's turn the light off. What I've done here is, just so it fits in nicely, I just put 2 zip ties, folded the cable on itself because it's quite a longer run for the right hand side. So I just folded it in, and that tucks in there quite nicely, and again routed up, and then another zip tie securing it to the headlight bracket, for want of a better word, the horizontal bracket there. And then that cable then goes, where does it go? Let's have a look. And it goes, it's all fairly tight. So yeah, that cable then runs under there, and that's into this plug here, which I've tucked in behind the fairing mount, or the screen mount, whatever you want to call it. So that's the lights in their position, and running the lights back to the power supply. So what I want to talk about now is how I actually installed the Denali data dim controller, and then where I've put all the other plug and play bits. As I said, it was a bit of a faff, but you know what, it actually fits okay, but it's just trying to work out where things have got to go, where you've got to bend them. So let's have a look, shall we? That's right, that's my cat. So here we go then, let's talk about where I've put stuff on the front of the bike then. So the data dim controller, that's about the size of a matchbox. And what I ended up doing was securing it to the vertical part of the black plastics above the headlight. And I used a very strong Unibond, no more nails, as they say, pads. So I stuck a couple of pads on here, and then just stuck the data dim controller unit, and see Denali is the correct way up, on the flat part there. There you go, just a better idea, if that's a better view, on the flat part there. And then I've got the, let's call it the tail from the data dim unit coming out into all the plug and play stuff, joining the loom that Rugged Road supplied. And then basically the loom is all stowed. Let's just pull the loom out. So it does look a real mess, and it is a faff to try and sort it out. But you've got a, there we go, there's the loom. This is what I had to, this is what I've had to play around with. The power socket, which I purchased, installed, I wired that myself, and there was no problem installing the fog light switch, which I've just taken the panel off here. You see the fog light switch, and then that power for the fog light switch is the blue and red cable here. And then obviously I've had to get power to the power socket down here, and then all I've done is, with the fuse that comes with that, because it's the Honda OEM one, this is a 2017 model. Later ones, I think the wiring is a lot easier, and you didn't have this faff with the fuse being hidden out of way. But basically all I've done is zip tied it to this main black cable here, and there's sufficient clearance, and there's no pressure on that, so that's not going to be a problem, and that shouldn't get wet either. So that's that white zip tie there, just keeping the supply to the external power socket nice and neat. And then obviously that cable then runs into some of the plug and play stuff down here. So we've spoken about the power supply for the left hand light, right hand light as you look at it. That's the power supply to the fog light push button switch on the console there, and then the rest of the wiring supplied is here. This one here is the spare green cable and the yellow and red cable. So that's a switched power feed. So if you want to use let's say a GPS or something else electrical, then just some spade connectors in there, or cut those connectors off and put something else on there, which is your preference. And then the blue and white plug and play cable connector here. I think that's to do with operating the switch to come on the dashboard. So when you put the fog light switch on, that then operates the either the fog light switch or the high beam switch or something like that. I don't know. It's plug and play, and it's pretty easy. The rest of the plug and play stuff, I've just tucked every single cable has gone under this bar here, so there's nothing riding over the top of the bar other than the power supply to the fog light switch. But again, you could, if you wanted to, just run it under here where my little finger is. Everything else, you've got the 4 connectors which have got the male brackets, so they have still been reused. So take them all off, plug the bits in you need to plug in, and whack them back on. And then I've just got this other plug down here. I can't remember what that's for, but again, the plug and play thing, there's only one way that can all go. So that's got the yellow and red and the green cable. And where does that one go? Let's have a look if I can give you the right information. No, that is still part of the wiring loom. So yeah, everything is, all the plug and play bits are tucked behind here, and everything runs under the horizontal bar here, other than the power supply, as I said, to the fog light push button switch located on here. So that is basically it, guys. It took me a while to sort it out, but I think it's the way to go. Obviously, the only issue is with you riding the bike, is stuff going to vibrate and cause a noise? I have no idea until I try it out. But I think we've got a good solution. So I hope you find it useful. So what I'm going to do now is put all the stuff back, and then we'll just show you how the black screen fits onto the front here. So yeah, I hope you found it useful, and that you guys don't have to spend 2 hours effing and jeffing and trying to work out how to put it on. It's just a shame that Rugged Roads didn't have, or maybe they have got some kind of installation video somewhere, but if they want to use this one, brilliant. I think I've nailed it, and it should be good. So we're just going to tuck all these cables back in again, and then I'll show you the end result. You've got the blue and the white electrical cables here, so that one just fits under this bracket here, and then the wiring loom here, I've just folded it so that sits on top of the Denali box, and the little red and yellow and the blue cable connector, that's going to go under the bracket there. Again, it's quite hard to do single-handed. And then lastly, the power supply for the left-hand fog light. I'm just going to push it under that bracket, and I think we're pretty much more or less there. And then this the spare connectors for your GPS or whatever, I would suggest just leave them somewhere where you can get access to them for the future. So just fold that back, and let's just maybe just tuck them up behind there. There we go. And then that's what we're left with, guys. So yeah, so the wiring loom just doubles back on itself, and it's just held in place by the 2 brackets there. I think that's the best I can come up with, unless anybody knows any different. But I think you guys should find that all right. So the next thing now is to put the black panel over the top there, and then attach it all back. And let's hope it doesn't make too many noises when I'm riding along with the vibration, but I think we should be okay. So I've got the nose cone on. I'm not going to show you how to put it on, but a couple of things. If you find the install is quite difficult, you can't get it fitting flush, a couple of things to be careful of. Just the top here, just make sure that the bits on the outside are slotted in correctly into the slots, and then down here you have a male part going into the female part of the nose cone.
sometimes the male part can go the wrong side of the female part, and then you can't get the thing in. You push, no amount of pushing and shoving will make it engage. So just stop what you're doing, don't break anything, just come back and maybe just have a look at the male part is going the wrong side of the female part and not slotting in home. So again, on both sides you can get that problem. So that's the installation complete. Let's make sure it all works. So that's the normal lights on without the fog light switch being pressed. High beam, low beam, pass, there we go, all works. And pop the fog light switch on the dash. There we go. So you got that's on 50% of the dual intensity controller. So that's high beam, 100% power to the spotlights, back to low power, and then the pass switch as well. And then obviously on the dash we get the fog light switch is activated when you press the fog light switch push button. Well, that's the installation complete. I hope you enjoyed the video. So the next video I'll show you what difference the light makes out and about on a dark unlit road. Until then, see you soon.